What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Monday. It's been kind of a crazy weekend over here, but let me just welcome you to the Monday edition of the Mark Z Drumcast. I am your host, Mark Zapata. I'm the owner and founder of Mark Z Drums, and I'm coming to you from the East Coast, New York, where it is a bit crisp out there. It is a bit crisp out there. So, I wanted to say what's up, welcome you to the Monday show. I had a great weekend. I had a lot of fun this weekend. I put a little bit up on my socials, but I had a lot of fun this weekend recording at Code Blue Records in upstate New York. With a project that I've been working on for a couple of years, or I should say working with. It is not my project, I am just part of it, but a grateful part of it, grateful to be a part of it because it's a great project. And it's a much anticipated record that's coming out, but when I could say more, I will. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences recording this weekend and some of the things that I've learned over the years. So eventually I'll tell you what's going on in the video, but as we move further and further through this video, I just want to kind of talk about how you could be successful in the studio, the things you need to know in the studio, the things you need to do in the studio. But first I want to talk a little bit about the process of recording, what we did, how we set up, what we used, the sounds we got, and the decisions we made along the way. So, first of all, Code Blue Records is in upstate New York, and it's an awesome studio with an amazing producer and audio engineer, Bob, who I've known for a long time. We've been friends for a long time. He taught me a lot of what I know about recording. And we recently purchased these Roland TD50 KV2 drum sets. This one, and then he purchased one for his studio. His bass drum is a little bit different. It's not the full size. It's not the full-size bass drums like I have here, the two of them. This kit came with the one full-size bass drum. It's a 22. I prefer 24s, but this is fine. They're electronic. They're triggered. Roland also makes a drum head with a built-in trigger that you can convert your bass drum into a triggered bass drum with just changing the drum head. So that's really, really cool. This second bass drum I got as part of a barter because, of course, this Roland kit was replacing my original Roland kit, which I got many, many years ago, the TD10 Roland kit that I got. And still a great kit, still worked great. The only issue with the kit is that the samples on the brain were just a little outdated. You know, they didn't really sound as good as today's samples sound. It is an older kit, so that's to be expected. And what I was doing with the old Roland set was I was using Superior Drummer for the triggers, and I was using the drum kit just as drum triggers to trigger the sounds from Superior Drummer. And that worked great because I was able to upgrade my samples without changing the drums. The most maintenance I did on the drums themselves, the TD10 kit that I had, was I changed the heads and then I changed the cones on the triggers. And I did some maintenance and upgrading on the hi-hat pedal, which started to have a problem after a bunch of years. So anyway, getting back to the story, I found this other 22-inch Roland kick drum, the same one I just bought with this kit, that somebody locally was selling. And and we just made a straight up trade. I gave him the entire Roland TD10 that I had, and he gave me this electronic bass drum. Believe me, if you look at the prices, I think we did pretty well, both of us, with a pretty good barter. And I was just shocked that I was able to find this other electronic bass drum so close. And I just went out, picked it up, and I dropped off the old set, and that was that. So anyway, he and I both purchased this drum kit. So I've done some recordings with him with other projects using the electronic set. And I got to tell you, the electronic kit is amazing. The electronic kit is really, it feels great, it sounds great on the recording. The ease of operation, obviously, that you can have when you're using MIDI drums with Pro Tools, super, super simple. But what we chose to do this time, because he is also a drummer, we both decided we want to do live drums. We want to do acoustic drums, live drums. We want to mic them up. We want to get sounds. We want to tune them up. We want to choose cymbals. We want to do all of that stuff. We'd even kicked around the idea at one point as we were doing pre-production, talking about one of the projects we were doing together, that maybe we would do electronic drums and live cymbals, real cymbals. We have yet to explore that yet, but Louis here. The result of our choice of acoustic drums was really great. I could not have been happier with how the sounds came and turned out on this recording using live acoustic drums. So why do we want to do live acoustic drums? Well, I think it's way more personal. As a drummer, I think using acoustic drums is way more personal. I went up on Friday morning and we used a set of Tama Rockstar drums, vintage drums. And he had a really sweet sounding Ludwig snare, a steel snare. And so we went with that. I brought all my cymbals up. We went through. We chose 15-inch hats, a custom Zildjian 15-inch hats, and a 16. Wait a minute. Yeah, 16-inch Zildjian Z custom, and an 18-inch Zildjian Crash Ride, also Z custom, I think, and my old Rock Ride made by Zildjian at, I think, 20 or 21 inches. And I got to tell you, it sounded amazing. I was super happy with it. I got there on Friday. We picked out the cymbals. We set up the drums. I set it up the way I wanted to. We mic'd everything. I tuned those drums. The floor tom, honestly, the 18-inch floor tom, I didn't have to touch. It sounded incredible. 12, 13 rack toms. The snare drum was I think 5.5 by 14, pretty standard size. And 24-inch kick. I think it's 24 by 14-inch kick. I couldn't even really get into the miking of it, but we ended up taking out the bottom head mics for the toms. We wanted a punchier sound. We wanted something to cut through a little bit more. And after doing an A-B comparison, we decided to do away with the bottom mics on the toms. But everything else worked out awesome. Recorded 4 songs on Saturday, and just had a blast. So, real quick, now, what's the most important thing if you are a studio player, or if you find yourself in the studio with your own project or somebody else's project, or you get hired to play drums in the studio? Number one thing, and the thing that I most get complimented about, is my professionalism. And as a matter of fact, this weekend I heard it again. Thank you for being so professional. Professionalism can mean a lot of different things, but it's super, super important because, listen, every time you step in the studio, you're putting yourself out there, and you are your reputation is in the balance, because really, um, what you want ultimately when you leave that studio after the session is you want that engineer, that producer, the band, everybody talking about how professional you were and how great you were. That's what you want leaving there, right? So always keep that in mind when you're walking into a recording studio. What is professionalism? You got to be there on time. That's number one, foremost, top of the list professional uh, traits is to be on time. Be there on time. What's up, Louie? Number two, know the material. You know, be prepared. Preparedness is 1A, 1B. On time preparedness. I don't know which one is more important. I think if you show up on time and you're unprepared, you probably will lose more points than if you're totally prepared and show up a little late. I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at it. So 1A, 1B. I think being prepared probably number one, being on time number two. But do both of those things, and then you don't have to worry about what order they come in. Right? Make sure you know your material. Make sure you're ready to go. You're ready to rock. Make sure you have everything you need. Right? Make sure you have the sticks that you want. Make sure you have a drum key. You know, make sure you have everything you need. If you have sheet music, make sure you know it, but have it just in case you need to look at it. Like, be prepared. Have everything that you need with you. So those two things are hugely important. The other thing too is to understand your situation, right? So when you're in a studio, who is calling the shots, right? Is it you? Is it your project? Is it your band? Are you making the decisions when it comes to how the session goes, when breaks are taken, what you're going to work on first, what you're going to go over again? Do we re-record this, or is this a good take? Is it you or is it somebody else? Is it the producer? Is it the artist that you're working with? Know your role in the recording session, because like this session, I am part of the band. My input is valued, and I know that, right? I understand that. So I can make suggestions. I can think of things and put it out there, and that's okay. I could say, I would like to do it again. I think I can do it better, right? So there are different ways to interpret where you fit into the whole project, right? I made a suggestion of something that I heard during a rehearsal that I thought might work in the song, and we actually recorded it that way, and everybody said that they liked it. And then I got the finished tracking, because it's not mixed or anything yet, but the rough tracking, the finished tracking, and my ending was not there, which is funny, but it's just one of those things, It's like, okay, but I was able to make that suggestion. I was heard, and again, my input is valued. You might be in a situation where you go into the studio and you are basically a hired gun, and the artist or the producer has the final say, and you're just basically following direction. And that's cool too. I mean, that's fine. It's whatever the situation you are in, know how to respond and react in whatever situation you're in. Don't be difficult, be agreeable. Like I said, if you're understanding that, hey, they're calling the shots, not me, then it's easier to be like, okay, whatever you want, however you want me to play it, that's fine. Be able to take direction, be able to take suggestions. I get it. I go into a situation, I'm like, well, I'm the drummer. Yeah, but the artist has a vision and an idea of what they want to hear. And if you're there to make music with the artist, then you need to listen to and respect what they're hearing, their vision of what they want. So again, depending on the situation, you want to be you want to be agreeable and open to suggestions. If you're not able to take direction or you're difficult to direct, you're going to get less work. You know, people don't want headaches. They want results. They want production. They want awesome drum tracks. And that's what your job is, right? But again, if you're in a situation where it's your band and it's a collaborative effort and there's like 4 or 5 guys and everybody has equal input and equal say and everybody's suggestions are taken, that's awesome, man. That's great. But it's not always that way. So, just to sum it up real quick, I had a blast recording. It's one of the most fun things I could do. And I think besides tracking drums, getting sounds, because again, it's your calling card, what your drums sound like. And I always tell my students this when I teach them how to tune. What your drums sound like is your voice, right? Your voice as an individual drummer. However you want your toms to sound, you can do that. And it can be your calling card. It can be your voice. Just the way every singer has a unique voice, you can make your drums unique and unique to yourself by the way you tune them, by the way you muffle them, by the way you play them. Now, obviously, it's not going to be a situation where people hear drums and they don't know who the drummer is. And they're like, I know who that drummer is. It's not going to be the same as a singer. But that is your personality, your individuality. So that's why I loved getting into the studio the day before to get all the drum sounds out of the way so that the rest of the band did not have to sit around while we're getting drum sounds for a couple of hours. But then I also had a chance to tune the drums the way I wanted, make them sound the way I wanted, and then try a few different setups with microphones and baffling and things like that until it worked for the producer and myself. Now, again, this was a situation where I had that kind of control. But you may walk into a situation where the drums are already prepped and ready to go and you're just there to play. Right? So every situation is different. But to me, that was the most fun part, was getting those sounds, working on some different things, messing around with different ideas and thoughts. And honestly, it came out great. I'm really, really happy with the way the drum sounded. You know, and minimal takes. I think it was a couple of 4-take songs, a couple of 2-take songs. But overall, a few hours work, and I was done. I was done for the day. And that's a great feeling too. When you're done in the studio, you're done with your parts, and you could either leave or hang out and watch guitar tracking or vocal tracking or bass tracking. Either way, when you're done, it's a good feeling, especially when it comes out great and it sounds good. So that was my weekend of recording. I want to thank everybody for stopping in and saying what's up. If you have any questions, you know, go ahead and leave them in the comment section or any one of my socials, Mark Z Drums, on any one of my socials. You can go to MarkZDrums.com and drop me a line. You can go to my Patreon, which is free, and drop me a line. I'm going to start adding more content to my Patreon because I have a lot of great stuff coming up, including a drum instructional video. And I'm going to put some free content up there as well, too, on my Patreon so that you can see what's going on. And when the actual course goes up, you'll have an idea of what it's all about. So, again, thank you all for stopping in and saying hello. Thank you for all the comments and the feedback. And all of the subscribers that have jumped on board recently on my YouTube channel. It's amazing. Thank you so much for your support. And I will catch you guys on Wednesday. We'll do a lesson on Wednesday. We'll learn some stuff on Wednesday. All right. Catch you Wednesday.